Well, hello, and yes, don't panic. For goodness sakes, don't panic, first off. I got several emails this morning, basically from panicked people wondering what the situation was. There was a BBC News story this morning, basically saying, and I've got it on the screen here, UK drone users face safety tests and flight restrictions. Basically suggesting that from somewhere between July and November, we'd have all these new rules, and these included mandatory testing to prove you know the rules and you can be safe, and registration. With absolutely no details at all, and I was like, well, what's the source of all this nonsense? In fact, it looked an awful lot like a story from November, which is almost exactly the same tone and talked about the rules and stuff. And I was helped out here by Electrota from FPV Hub, who moderates a sub-forum about the legalities. And he looked up and he could see nothing on the Parliament site about the drone regulation bill until the second reading, which happens not until February next year. So there was a little bit of confusion there because the BBC had just jumped on with this story about all this stuff's coming in, and of course it's going to create panic amongst people doing it. Unfortunately, there was a few more websites then got on the case. So Suez News carried this with a little bit more detail about where it came from and what it actually was, which isn't this legislation thing which is tabled for the second reading next year. It's going to be an amendment to the current Civil Aviation Authority Air Navigation Order that's already in effect and affects everybody that flies models, which kind of makes much more sense. And reading this through, it was all about laws against flying above 400 feet and within 1 kilometre of an airport boundary. And because they basically sourced where this was coming from, you could then go and find it on the government websites from the Department of Transport, who basically are saying exactly what the Suez story said. Pretty much the same old stuff there. So the reason I say don't panic is, as of this time, what it means is, and I say as of this time, they've announced this today, but it's going to come in effect from 30th of July. So from the 30th of July, it will be against the rules to fly more than 400 feet altitude, and it will be against the rules to fly within 1 kilometre of an airport boundary. Now, neither of those sound particularly threatening or new. I mean, the 400 feet thing's been in forever. I don't understand why it's yet another rule. I don't know if this is about enforceable things in place there, like someone's going to come and look up and say, well, that looks like it's above 400 feet to me, I think you'd better bring it down, sonny. The airport boundary thing sounds reasonably sensible, other than the fact that, you know, there can be places around, you know, the 1k from an airport boundary which would be perfectly safe to fly, depending on the circumstances, like you're below the tree level because you're doing drone racing and stuff. There's also a lack of detail here about, you know, what happens where we've got flying clubs located at actual runways, like Popham Airfield have a on-site club there that uses one of the fields, and they operate perfectly reasonably and safely within the grounds of the airport, just over from one of the runways. I'm assuming there's exclusions here, but because there's no detail in these, it's really hard to work out what else it means. Of course, one of the details they don't ever provide is like, please define a drone. What is a drone? Is it a quad? Is it a plane? Is it something with a camera on? Is it a balloon? Is it a free flight model? Don't know. You can pretty much expect it means all our quads and things, though, because it always does, doesn't it? So the reason I say don't panic is I don't think this represents a massive shift in what people think. I don't think people are out there saying, well, I want to fly, you know, over planes and you know, wave at the people in the planes as they take off. That's just insane, obviously, and I don't think anybody's reasonably doing that. And I think most people that are flying mini quads are trying to fly them about this far off the ground as fast as possible rather than up high. So no big deals there. The pain from this is going to be next year, from 30th of November 2019. So from this date we'll have to register if we fly a drone above 250 grams. Now, it doesn't state, once again, is it pilot registration? Is it registration per drone? What's the cost of it? Where's the money going? Do they not understand that people that are using criminal purposes aren't going to register? And how does that help anybody? But these are moot points. So the important thing for now is nothing's really changed. And I've no doubt that all you guys watching are not flying over airports or you know, up at 30,000 feet so you can see jets flying along and doing it safely anyway. So this shouldn't do anything in the way you're flying. So I know there's always this reaction when we have these rules like this. I see loads of people saying, this is it for me, I'm selling out, what's the point anymore, I can't carry on. Just, you know, calm down. It's like nothing's really changed. And if the only thing that changes are people suddenly armed with this knowledge that what we're doing may be subject to some sort of law, you can't really blame them. All they've got to go on is media reports again and again and again saying like, oh, these drones are trying to bring down planes, what's wrong with these pilots, why are they all trying to do this? They're all crazy. I mean, if you just fed story after story after story, of course the general public are going to be slightly suspicious about what you're doing. And my only advice here is to try and build bridges where you can. Whenever I see anybody and they're interested in what I'm doing, or they have a comment, even if it's quite aggressive, the only thing I can do is be absolutely as nice as pie, invite them in, show them what I've got. If you've got spare goggles, get them to put them on, show them going around a field. Because generally speaking, people that are coming up looking for argument, trying to, you know, get you riled and stuff, are quite disarmed when all you can do is be as nice as possible to them, because they can't really argue against it. They can just go along with it. So yeah, do what you can, build bridges. I mean, all we can do is put the sort of positive light and spin on what we do with people that we see, and hopefully when they talk to other people and they mention this, they can say like, I met someone and they were perfectly nice and they showed me this thing, and they fly around the field and they pretend they're in Star Wars or something, or Top Gun, doing these little chases and stuff. I think most people would find it quite reasonable. Anyway, that's my public information announcement for today. Whether I'll be quite so happy when we come to learn the details of this whole registration thing is another question. But for now, don't panic, have fun flying, let's get out there in the summer weather. So that's just been raining today. When it stops raining, wherever you are, let's get out there, do some fun flying and have a great time. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye for now.
Well, you've made it to the end of the video, so thanks once again for watching. If you like what you saw, then please consider subscribing, and if you really like what you saw, then be sure to check out the link to my blog for a variety of ways in which you can help support this channel.